We're in Ullapool, that's on the mainland. Our first priority is to locate some LPG. The Search for Sites app has shown us a likely place, and it seems like we are not the only ones on this quest. There are very few operational LPG stations on the west coast. We are very happy to have a full tank of gas. We need the gas for heating as well as other off-gridding activities, such as cooking. This is the first time we see this yellow van, but it's not the last. In this vlog, we are going to travel the north coast of Scotland and then go further north. Join us for the journey. On the road between Ullapool and Durness, we were blown away by the scenery. We came across this fellow at the side of the road and Kaz managed to get the long lens on the camera and captured this magnificent beast. As soon as he got wind of us, off he leapt.
What a magnificent sight to wake up to this morning. We arrived in the dark last night and we weren't sure what it would look like. A lovely surprise coming out of the van this morning. Here comes Pete with the dogs. They've been for their morning constitutional. Today we're going to head further along the coast, eventually making our way to the ferry port for the Orkneys.
Well, here's an interesting looking place. It's the Golden Eagle zip line and the freefall jump. As we parked up over here, we just saw somebody coming down the zip line, which is currently behind Kaz. So far, since joining the proper North Coast 500 route, we've only seen things improve in terms of the scenery and the destinations. Not saying at all that where we went before we were on the North Coast 500 was horrible. Far, far from it. This is just, it just takes it up to another level over here on the North Coast 500.
To see which one of us crazy kids did this, keep watching.
Here we are at a scenic viewpoint overlooking the deepest loch in Scotland. Down there are the lime kilns, and in the distance over there is the loch gate, so we couldn't actually drive down there, and we didn't feel like having a walk today, so we didn't. There's a little red boat down on the quay next to the lime kilns. It's another good spot for a sticker.
Here we are in Melness and we're about to go over a causeway.
Get a wave on camera. Hello. Yes.
Right, now we're going over the causeway.
Yes.
Where are we heading? We're going to a place called Tongue.
Tongue. I think this is what we're looking at. This water is the Kyle of Tongue.
Okay.
Behind me are two chambered cairns, and we're going to be following this easy footpath up there to go and have a look. Here's the information board as it is. It's a little hard to read with all the water on it. And there's a stone at the end of one of the cairns. It used to be thought that there were 3 cairns, but in fact one of them has been cut in half by a track or a road.
What is this meant to be?
It's a cairn. It's a burial chamber from the Neolithic times.
Oh.
From up here you can see the hollow inside of it. At one point this would have been roofed over and it would have housed the remains of somebody who was probably quite important, thousands of years ago. And down in the valley is a fishing river. We saw signs for anglers parking only. So I'm guessing some kind of salmon or trout, probably not cod, that roams around in that river. After our Neolithic excursion, it was time for a spot of lunch, so we headed to the Betty Hill viewpoint. On the North Coast 500 route, here's another pole that's got lots of stickers on it, so guess what? Time for another one. go. We put the sticker on the post in Betty Hill Viewpoint. That's where we are right now. There we are. A quick look around the view. After lunch, we decided we may as well carry on all the way and go to John O Groats. We're now at John O Groats and we're going to stick another sticker, this time on a sticker board and not on the very famous signpost over there. So it looks like there are layers and layers of stickers. We're just going to have to stick it on top somewhere. Yeah, ours will be on top for a while, then it will eventually get covered up. Perfect.
Right in the middle. For as long as it stays there. They'll probably change it at the beginning of next season.
Land's End 874 miles, New York, Orkney and Shetland. We'll get a lot closer to Orkney pretty soon. Edinburgh is 273 miles away.
Orkney is 8 miles. And it's one of those islands.
It's one of those islands out there, but there's Orkney and Shetland. We can't see Shetland from here, obviously.
That's too far away.
Oh yeah, 152 miles. And
we are going to go to Orkney.
We are going to Orkney soon, yes.
Yes.
Ooh, something large has just made a ripple the other side of that fishing boat, the blue one. I wonder if it may have been a seal or something like that. We're always supposed to be on the lookout for sea mammals on the north coast. There, I think it is a seal. Or is it a bird? You see? It's making ripples there. Just if you look through that boat, there's something rippling. It's coming to the surface every so often. What I thought was a seal in the harbour is some kind of a seabird. And there it is. Is it a gannet? There it is, flying off. We've done what most people think is a northerly point of the United Kingdom mainland, but we're shortly going to be off to the proper north point. It's not that far away.
8 miles.
Okay. We're at Dunnet Head, which is the most northern point on the UK mainland. In the distance is the island of Hoy, which forms part of the Orkneys. And already here, the Dunnet Head lighthouse is lit, helping shipping through this, what appears to be quite a busy channel. We overnighted here after making a small donation on the pay and display machine. Bit of a miserable, rainy and windswept day today. So we're at Scrabster looking at the ferry port for tomorrow. And we don't fancy doing much outside stuff, so we're going to go over here to the captain's galley and get some seafood for lunch. Oh, that was a fail. The place was closed, so we're going to head off. We drove a little bit down the harbour side and come across this place called Popeyes, which is open, and we're so glad we found it. We decided to do something quintessentially Scottish, and that is...
Cullen Skink.
And what is a Cullen Skink when it's at home?
It's a fish soup made in milk, and it's flipping lovely. Mm-hmm. Very creamy. There's a nice smoky taste to it. It's gorgeous. I can feel the calories already.
A bit of an addendum. We think that Popeyes might be the pub, and where we've just had the Cullen Skink was the Ferry Inn. On the night before we went over to Orkney, we decided to stay in a CS site. Charged up everything that had batteries in it. Kaz went across the road and took some pictures of these Highland cows. This morning we're on the Hamman Voe, registered in Kirkwall, and this is a Northlink Ferry. Right, so the boat was built in Finland. It's a little bit more of a bumpy crossing this morning. At least we're getting proper value for money on the roller coaster ride. I'm sort of enjoying it. Kaz, not so much. What do you think of the trip so far?
Too rocky.
Not nice then.
I wouldn't mind, but we've just had a breakfast.
Over there in the distance next to where the sun is Dunnet Point. That's where we spent overnight in the car park on the most northerly point on the British mainland. We're some way north of that now. We're going to be heading over there. And what we're looking at is the island of Hoy, which forms part of the Orkneys. Hoping to get a good view of the Old Man of Hoy as we go past. The routes are more expensive than the Cullen ferries, but this one just seems a little bit more luxurious, a little bit more like a cruise instead of a service. We kind of like having both options. I think this GoPro is going to try and do some horizon leveling. But it shouldn't mask the up and down that's going on at the moment. Hold on, there's a rough bit. Behind me is the Old Man of Hoy. And there's the mainland of Orkney. Just have come around the corner, the Old Man of Hoy is no longer visible. How you doing?
I haven't got the sweats anymore, that's for sure.
From first sight, it looks like one of those places where there's not a great deal of human activity and settlement. So it looks quite... It's very sparsely populated with humans and evidence of human settlement. Very natural and very nice. On the left is the mainland of Orkney. The ship is heading down a channel between Orkney and the island of Hoy. Very, very close to Orkney now. We're approaching the dock. It's a very narrow channel. The other side is not far away at all. It feels like we're almost touching that side. I believe that's the port we're going to be heading to. We swing, yeah, we are swinging around now. I'm going to approach the dock. On the left-hand side of the view is a museum we're going to be heading to straight away once we get off the ferry. A slow and steady drive through the streets of Stromness. Don't think we'd fancy this one in anything much larger than our camper van. We've asked some of the locals if it's okay to park over here, and they say they think so. So we're going to go ahead and park just here while we go to the museum. Strange roads to be driving the camper van down indeed. We've just done a tour of the Stromness Museum. Excellent. If anybody comes to Orkney, we'd highly recommend a visit there. Very, very interesting indeed. Every house along the water's edge, it seems to have access to the bay, to the bay, the little boat and slipway. There's actually a campsite down here.
Oh, box beds.
Box beds.
Just doesn't mention what that is.
We've just been through the expedition at Skara Brae. We've seen the reconstruction, which is in that mound right over there. We're now coming up to the real thing, the real deal. We thought we saw some kind of sea creature over there. So Kaz got the big camera out and maybe we can see what it is. Probably a bird, possibly a seal. This water just looks so clear and fresh. Probably quite cold, but it looks inviting to swim in. As we're walking down the pathway over here, there are these stones which indicate events in history. We think they might be done to scale to give you an idea of how old this place actually is. So the first stone on the pathway was the moon landing in 1969, all the way over there, and then we're down to Stonehenge, which we visited earlier this year. I bet you this is the pyramids in Egypt now. Pyramids of Giza. We've already passed the Great Wall and the Temple of Solomon. And there we go, Skara Brae, 3100 BC. That's going back a bit, isn't it? If I was a Neolithic dude, I'd also be living here. No shadow of a doubt. What are you doing?
I'm taking photos of lesser spotted items.
So there's the actual remains of the prehistoric houses. This site is run by Historic Scotland. And as we're English Heritage members, the price of our mission today was exactly...
Free!
Yeah, we've been English Heritage members for more than a year, so therefore reciprocal agreements with the Scottish equivalent and the Welsh equivalent come into play. That looks like pretty much like the tunnel to the one that we've just been in, the replica. A fragile roof, don't walk on it, so we won't. You've got to wonder how many people lived here at any one point in time, and how many generations of people did actually live here altogether. It says that the radiocarbon dating indicates that this site was occupied for at least 500 years. If it wasn't for a storm in 1850, we wouldn't have known about this place. The storm was so fierce, it actually ripped off some of the grass and turf from the top of these places, exposing the stonework underneath, which people had forgotten about for thousands of years. It's one of those fortunate accidents, I guess. From the display inside, it was said that the workshop is the one building that doesn't have any beds. This was a separate building, I don't know, for sharpening bone saws and stuff like that. We're now at the Unstan Chambered Cairn, a 5,300-year-old Neolithic tomb. We were at another cairn a couple of days ago. This one looks like it's in better nick. So we're hoping that we can see what the chamber would have looked like inside the other one. We can actually go inside there. So this is fun. I'm going to have to crawl through here. I feel like a cross between David Bellamy and Indiana Jones. So it does feel a bit strange, almost wrong to be inside a grave, I suppose. But I'm not the first. Any bones have long since been removed. And you see here, the tops of the walls, like the ones we were clambering around on the other day. It's probably a feature which is not original, and that's a concrete roof with some glass in it, I guess to protect this place. It's still grassy on top, so it looks like it would have done for thousands of years, which is good. Quite atmospheric. Outside world is that way. I'm coming out. I'm crawling out. So that was the Unstan Chambered Cairn. 2 minutes down the road, we're already at the next attraction, the standing Stones of Stenness. Here they are. These are definitely the biggest or tallest sets of standing stones we've seen on our Scottish trip. I see it's a dual-use field. Some agricultural creatures going over there. I'm sure it's one of those places where sheep outnumber the people more than 10 to 1. And that's how the middle of Orkney looks. That's quite a big one. Time to head back to the van. It's getting windy. I feel the chill. Next stop, another 3 minutes down the road, the Ring of Brodgar. Nice little walkway across this marshy ground next to the loch. Raised up. It's actually got some chicken wire across the top. I'm sure that will increase the grip quite nicely when the temperature drops just a little bit colder and gets to freezing. It's not been the warmest of days today. 6 degrees we saw as the minimum temperature overnight near O Groats. We are a little bit further north and possibly a little bit more exposed over here. We will be tonight because we're going as far north as is possible on the mainland. This is quite an impressive stone circle. I would hazard a guess and say that the diameter of this one is greater than Stonehenge, but I'll have to do a fact check on that one. We're at our most northerly point, Birsay. Here's the car park that we're going to be spending the night in. It's absolutely free of charge. And over here is a causeway that goes to, or let me go back to the sign, the point of Book Koi, or the Bro of Birsay. Yep, that's what it is. Right, here we go. Rain's beginning to look, the rain's beginning to look a little horizontal again. And it stings a bit. Ooh! This rain is beginning to feel a bit solid. Water to the right and water to the left. The lighthouse on top there. We always love a good lighthouse. I'm hoping that the weather improves some. We can bring the dogs, maybe get Kaz down here a little bit. These rock pools here are looking very, very nice. Oh, everything is so clean up here. Everything is so clean up here. Right, that's my limit. I'm going back to the van. It's freezing.